What is up, everybody? My name is James DeFiore, and this is Casual Friday. It has been a long time since the last time I've done a show, and so much has happened, and I don't even know sometimes where to begin. If some of you recall, I'm going to get to the RNC stuff in a second and the Trump shooting and all that stuff, but I just have something quick that I want to update people on because I think it's super important. You may recall a Casual Friday maybe a year ago where I literally had to stop the show. And I was advised to go to the doctor by Paul Atkinson because I thought I was hearing voices that weren't really there. And I know that sounds crazy, and it was crazy. It makes everything seem a little weird. Well, a bunch of stuff has happened between then and now that has made me feel not only like completely sane, well, maybe not completely sane, I'm still who I am, but made me feel like I wasn't hearing auditory hallucinations. And that is the following. Um, even though I had a whole bunch of witnesses before this happened, all of those witnesses were friends and family. So in a way, you kind of discount them because, if they love you, maybe they're, like there's a lot of people that conceptualize that maybe people that love you just try to make you feel better by saying things that you want to hear. But then something very peculiar and very valuable to me happened. A stranger moved right next door. I live in the middle of nowhere, but I do have one neighbor. One landlord owns this property that has 3 houses on it. One house is like a half a kilometer down the driveway, and the other house is like 20 yards to the west. And this man comes over on June 2nd, knocks on my door. Never met this guy. Was kind of shocked to even have someone knock on my door that wasn't a person delivering a parcel. And he's like, "Hey, how you doing? My name is such and such. I am your new neighbor. Can I ask you a very peculiar question?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "What the fuck is going on around here?" And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "All I keep on hearing is a conversation between a man and a woman. And it's infuriating me. And I was wondering if it was coming from your house." And I was like, "No, but do you got a minute? Because I'll explain to you exactly what this is." We then decided that we would find a way to record this finally. It's a very frustrating thing. For the last year, I have been attempting to record this with a phone, with like a wave digital recorder. There's something about it. It's a weird phenomenon. I can't really quite explain it. It's just that I call it noise pollution. Someone is directing this noise pollution to my house somehow. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not a detective. All I know is what my ears hear. And then this stranger says he can hear the same thing. So we ended up getting a transistor radio. And someone suggested it to me because I remember back in the day, my parents had one. And if you slowly turned the dial and you were between stations, you could pick up things like landlines that were cordless telephones. You could pick up baby monitors. There was just weird things that transistor radios would pick up certain signals. And lo and behold, in between radio stations, which are scarce up here anyways, but in between stations on the FM dial, all of a sudden, you could hear this man and woman talking. So we recorded it. I'm not going to play it for you tonight because my lawyer says it's evidence. And the first time you should introduce evidence is not on a podcast. But I am letting people know that it exists. And I feel both completely alarmed and completely vindicated at the same time. The people who are in my friend circle know exactly who this person is, know exactly why this person is doing this, is gaslighting. Sometimes people gaslight because they want to drive someone crazy. Sometimes people gaslight because they want to drive someone crazy for a specific purpose. And I am so happy that I can now proceed in my life knowing 2 things. One is that I don't have to sit there and explain myself to anybody anymore. And the second thing is that I am able to take what has happened and find a way to make it so that I can either make it stop or I can find some sort of justice. Let me be clear here. It's been a year and a half since I first started hearing this noise pollution. A year and a half, April 2023. And I feel like my privacy has been invaded for so long that I don't even remember what privacy is anymore. But the one good thing is that for the people that know one of the voices that we've been able to successfully record through this transistor radio, it's a very recognizable voice for anyone that knows this person. And I feel like because of the things that this person has been verified as doing, um, I don't want to really get into too many specifics. I hope that this person is listening because they know exactly what they've done and why they're doing this to me now. And I needed to just get that off my chest. There's a couple other things that I could talk about later. But first, I want to introduce my co-host for the show from the Eager Beaver podcast. His name is Douglas Connors. Douglas, how are you,
Hey,
buddy?
hey, hey. I'm doing well. How are you?
I feel better.
That's that,
And
that's the story.
yeah, dude, I remember talking to you about this last year.
Yeah.
I remember, and everybody that I talked to about this last year, and I understand why. I totally understand why. First of all, I wasn't describing it right. I was like, I'm hearing voices. And of course, when you frame it like that, everyone's going to think,
Right.
especially people that care, are going to
Right.
be like, express their worry for a person. Right.
Right.
And I totally understand that. And it was very difficult for me. And so difficult, in fact, that there was a period last year where I was like, maybe I need to entertain the fact that I got issues with auditory hallucinations. Maybe I need to really explore that possibility. And I did for like months. And
you got to rule it out, right? Rule it in or out.
Exactly. Someone told me something really interesting is that people who are insane never say to themselves, maybe I need help with these auditory hallucinations.
Yep.
I did not know that. Good to know now.
People who are insane never stop to ask, am I crazy here or
Yeah,
right?
That's right. But when a stranger comes to your house who just moves in next door and is like, at first I thought he was like, and he sort of was, he was like, is this coming from your house? Do you have a TV blasting all the time? That's the talk show with a man and woman talking. And I'm like, no, dude, but am I so glad you're here? Do you know what I mean? Like, the witnesses that I had last year were all friends and family, but one person who was more like a date puts her fork down at one point and was like, what's all that chatter? This was like in August or something of last year. And I was like, what do you mean? So she said the same thing. And so I knew, I've kind of known since mid last year that I was dealing with something nefarious and something completely insane and intentional.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still very much a mind fuck. Like you sit there and you wonder, you're like, I don't even know what to think about this anymore. And when my mom was living here, she heard it, but it's your mom, right? So like, like it's not the most credible witness because she's your mom.
Yeah.
And my daughter heard it. And my daughter's credible, but of course, I always look at it through the lens of the person that's perpetrating this on me, and and the arguments that they can make. Oh, you're going to coach your daughters, which I would never fucking ever do, right? Like, I find it really abusive that this gaslighting happens to me while my kids are here. Like for two reasons. One is that now my daughter can hear it, and she was literally scared. I had to sleep with her. She was like, "Daddy, I'm scared," so I had to sleep with her. And then the other thing is that if you're trying to destabilize a parent while he's caregiving his two children, as far as I'm concerned, like if I had a babysitter and I found out someone was trying to scare the shit out of her while she was taking care of my kids, I'd be like, well, that's abusive towards my kids.
Yeah.
Positive Mike is asking if it's still happening. As of 5 minutes before the show, it was still happening. If it's happening right this second, I can't tell. I have headphones on and I'm talking into a mic and I'm not listening for it. I will tell you that when I'm alone, I can not only hear it, but I can make out what they're saying verbatim and I can identify one of the voices easily.
Jeez.
Yeah. And the things that they project into my house are like personal things, embarrassing things, things
about
things that only an ex would know, for example.
About you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So these are two people that are talking about you.
Correct. They don't talk to me.
No.
They talk to each other.
Yes, about you.
I say something.
It's like that three-way phone thing that was like when I was like a teenager and I used to watch Degrassi and they were showing that, like this, the two people would have a phone call and the one person would like say hold on, and then they'd call another person and pretend that that's the original call while someone was back, and then the
Yeah.
person that was back, the two that were talking to each other would badmouth them while they were on the line.
Yeah.
But they,
No,
since
exactly.
the first person didn't know the other person was on the line, they sort of just had to like sit there and take it, right?
Exactly. And in this case, if I say something, the guy will repeat it for the other participant who I can identify,
Mm.
which tells me that the guy can hear me, but the other person cannot. So whatever I say, the guy has to then relate to her or
Hmm.
him. Right.
So so the thing that's a mind fuck about that is, first of all, it's happening and you're trying to figure it out. And if you do figure it out that there's some type of noise pollution, then it's like, okay, you know what it is. So
Mm.
that's no longer a mystery, but then it's a whole other mind fuck. Like, why?
Oh, I know why.
Well, not that type of why.
I
Not the
can't.
reason. Not the reason. The why.
Yeah.
Why is in like, who does this? Like, what kind?
Narcissistic,
Seriously.
Abusive sociopaths do this.
I know.
That's who does
Like,
this. Yeah.
just like.
Sometimes let me speak ambiguously here for a second. I was gonna go balls out and just like lay it all out, and
No,
then
don't do that.
yeah, and then I decided against it. Like if I did that, this person would be ruined.
Yeah.
But my kids might get hit with shrapnel, so I don't want to do that. But when someone who's not used to being held accountable for their behaviors is all of a sudden held accountable for their behaviors, they go on the warpath because they can't take that. So sometimes people, just in a very general sense, sometimes if people are found to be abusive, the tactic that they choose to defend themselves and their reputation is to just continue being abusive.
Mm-hmm.
They can't help themselves.
Mm.
But the recordings that I have are and it's so funny because when you hear the naked recording with the phone or with the digital recorder, it's a wave recorder. If you just listen to the playback of the wave recorder, it's like, well, you can tell a man and woman are talking, but it's not that compelling. And I sent it to, because I used to manage DJs, I sent it to this electronic music DJ that I know. And he's like, oh yeah, it's a man and woman talking. I can make out words and like phrases and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, fucking send it to me. I was at a buddy's house and he sent it. And I was like, how did you do that? He's like, dude, I'm a producer. He's just like, I took out everything but the mid because I could tell that what I was hearing was all mid-range. So I took out the high and the low. And then I isolated the mid and then I compressed it and cleaned it up. And this is what we got. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's amazing. So it is such a relief. Like I had so many friends last year, dude, that were just like, are you sure you don't need help? And again, I totally understand why they would say that. But I was like, there were two things that bothered me, more than two things, but the main two things were I never experienced auditory hallucinations in my life. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, it never happened anywhere else. And I was all over the world last year.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So this whole geographically specific schizophrenia thing just doesn't cut it.
If you're having, if you're having auditory hallucinations, you'll have them wherever you are.
Mm. When my kids leave, because I have them for 7 days on, 7 days off, it's like a fun house here. It's insane. Like it's like constant. It's loud enough for me to make out entire conversations. If I say something, they'll repeat it. If I do something, they'll comment on what I'm doing. And then they'll flip. And sometimes, and now listen, I know when they're live, when the guy repeats what I say. That's when I know that it's real time. Sometimes they completely ignore everything that I'm saying. And then I'm like, is this a recording? Is this AI? Is this deep fake? I don't know, but I can hear it. I know I'm not crazy, so I can hear it. So this is like a huge thing in my life, like just because if you recall, and I'll end it with this because I want to get to RNC stuff, but if you recall, I spent 6 days in a mental hospital last year because of auditory hallucinations where I could hear a man and a woman talking. So that was by design. That's crazy. That is completely insane. So I feel, I mean, no one wants to see themselves as a victim, but I feel completely victimized by this. And the fact that I had to be put in a mental hospital and question my own sanity with this fake schizophrenia shit is crazy. Like it's the craziest thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And I'm so happy that Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna be redundant and say I was so happy that this guy moved in next door that
Yeah.
was able to like confirm, no, it's a man and woman talk. Like, not only did he confirm what I've been hearing for the last year and a half, but he confirmed that when I went inside that mental hospital, despite the fact I was abusing Adderall, and I know why I was abusing Adderall, because I thought I was going crazy because of all this noise pollution that was happening. But it was the exact same thing back
Right.
then in April 2023 as it was when that guy came over to my house.
Mhm.
So I don't know what the odds are on that, but I'm sure they're pretty slim. You know,
I wonder if what's happening if the whatever, if that's considered, that could be considered some form of stalking.
it's completely illegal because it also says that they
Oh,
can
really?
hear me they can hear me when I talk. Right? Because if they
Yeah.
repeat the things that I say, they obviously can hear the things that I'm saying.
Right.
I have a palace. I have a 4,000 square foot open concept place, where I mean, they could be sitting in the farm field across the way 100 yards with a parabolic mic and hear everything that I'm saying. I don't know how they're
Gotcha.
hearing, but they can. So it's one of those things. And honestly, the risk that this person is taking by doing so, it's completely illegal. So many felonies. And
Yeah.
what about my children? Don't they
Right.
deserve to have their privacy protected
Right.
or bodily autonomy if they have
Right.
cameras for all I know? You know what I mean? Like, I have no
Yep.
idea. So this is something that I'm hoping will be resolved sooner than later. But because they are narcissists and they suffer from hubris, I don't expect it to stop soon. I know they're hearing this right now, either watching or what have you. But I am so much more comfortable now, knowing that I'm dealing with something that's intentional rather than something that is, quote, all in my head. And the second participant, this person was famous for saying that, like,
Mm.
all last year. Oh, it's all in your head. Oh, are you doing drugs again? Oh, it's all in your head. Lying the whole time, the entire
Mm.
time. And it's crazy. And on a separate note, and I'll be ambiguous again, if you're dealing with family court stuff and you're
Mhm.
dealing with custody stuff,
Mhm.
I pray, despite the fact I don't believe in God, that you deal with a person that lives in reality, that
Mhm.
doesn't just live for the war to try
Yep.
to get what they want,
Mm.
that makes decisions that are good for the children. You know
Right.
what I mean? I'm completely expecting revenge porn and like footage and audio and all that to be like to land in a lawyer's lap any second now to try to embarrass me, because my privacy was being invaded for months when I had no idea.
Right.
And the things that I've done in this house, I'm James. You guys know, you probably
Yeah.
guessed some of the things I've done in my house.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and this is a problem for me, but it's not as much of a problem. I would not trade places with that person, just no matter what they have,
Right.
because I just want to protect my kids. Anyways, so that's just a little update. I'm sorry it took 20 minutes,
Wow.
but that's
No, no, but that's a yeah, that's a tale.
yeah. I can't wait for my lawyer to give me the green light to play the audio. I wonder if that will ever happen, because that would be a lot more compelling.
Right.
But in any event, so let me my trip to Milwaukee for the
Yeah.
RNC.
Yeah,
I'll just
bet you never thought all that was gonna happen before you went down, eh?
No, I didn't. And
Jeez.
it happened just before I went down. Oh, you talk about the Trump thing. Yeah, listen,
Well,
like,
everything, and just like Trump and then Biden, I mean, just like
well, I knew
it's
the Biden thing was
it's
going to happen. If you recall,
yeah,
I
but
said it on your show like
yeah,
2
yeah.
months ago. Yeah.
But it's like we got 18 months worth of news in about like 12 days.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
It is first of all, the Trump shooting, I'm glad they didn't kill him.
Yeah. Same
I
here.
think a civil not I'm going to be totally honest with you here. It's not because I think he's a great president. But um I'm one of those people that likes the United States. Um I went to Washington, D.C. last year for the first time, and I know all the sins of the great empire. I get it. I understand, like, a lot of the shit that they've done is horrible. There is something weird about being in Washington, D.C., where you almost feel patriotic. You can hear like the cinematic music playing in the background as you walk the
Yep.
Capitol or the
Yep.
monument or something, and you remember all these landmarks. You've been seeing them your whole life in movies and everything. And there's something kind of like, I don't know, you just kind of want America to thrive. Um,
Mhm.
and by thrive, what I mean is remain stable. And I think that if Trump were to get shot in the head and die, I think the entire country would be on fire right now.
Oh yeah.
I also think you probably won him the election.
No, that I can't agree.
What's that?
On that it won him the election, I can't agree.
You're breaking up a bit. You might want to come in and out again.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, you're good now. You're good. Oh, he's gone. Yeah. So Kamala Harris, I mean, she's probably the most logical choice. She's the vice president. People rallied around her. You didn't want a big battle to happen, because if a big battle happens, and there's, there still could be kind of a battle at the convention for the far left, not wanting Kamala Harris in. But I think that when push comes to shove, and I think Douglas has a different opinion on this, different take on this. I don't think that she's popular enough to win. And I think that what the weird thing that happened when Trump got shot is that I think a lot of people, and I know, listen, his speech at the RNC started off okay, but then was just typical Trump bullshit by the end of it. He could have, he's not that bright. I don't know if you know this. Trump's not that bright. If I was Donald Trump, I would have been like this. I would have been like, listen, wow, I came close. For my life was almost over. And it made me think, I want to be president for everybody. I don't want to trash Biden. He's dropped out. I think that's good for the country, and I think that's good for his health. And whoever replaces Biden, I think, let's have a good, clean, fair election, and remember that we're all in this together. If he did that, it wouldn't even matter. He'd be done. Like, that would be it. The election would be over. He would probably win like 58% of the vote or some shit, and then that would be that.
But he's not capable of that.
He can't help himself, right? Like, he can't help himself at all. So I don't know.
There is no second act. There's just more of him.
Yeah. What's your take on Kamala Harris?
My take on Kamala Harris is Kamala Harris. Sorry. There's not. When everybody said, when the assassination attempt took place, that's it, he's won. Like this, I didn't buy that right away.
Right.
Any other candidate, probably this, but with him, everything has always been different. And given just how polarizing he is, and given how unsympathetic a figure he is, the people who love him a lot. But to everybody else, there is no universe like this in which that makes him more sympathetic on its own. It really sucks to say that, because there's the part of me that I'm glad he didn't die, because he's a human being, and even though he's one who is deeply flawed and has a lot of problems, and one I wouldn't want running, the only thing that man knows how to run is his mouth, basically. So I wouldn't want him near any responsibility or what's up. I still don't want him to die or be shot for many reasons. One, political violence is not how we do it, number one. But number two, it's like, you don't create a martyr. That's not going to help either, right? And there would just be a whole other mess. And when people lose, there's a portion of this that's almost cult-like. So if you go for the leader, people will just lose their freaking minds, right? So there's many reasons, but the pure human reason is you don't do that. That's just not how we do that, right? It's ballots, not bullets. So, but everything about this, when it comes to this guy, every single bit of conventional political wisdom that we know that we apply, all throughout that, when he came down the escalator, oh no, he's not a good candidate, nobody will take him seriously, he won't win. Well, what the hell did he do? He won, like this. And then he won't win the election. Oh, the access tape, he's dead. How many times did he do things that for anybody else would say their career is over, but his career is not over? It's never over. He just keeps going. So this one, I was sitting there, like, I was watching it, and it's like, nope, That's not going to move the dial. Everybody's saying the debate performance when it happened, when Biden and everybody said that's going to move the dial. I said, nope, that's not going to move the dial. Yes. And yes, you could see, depending which polls you can look, you could see a little thing going down. But it was like in normal, like I think Kennedy Nixon, because the debate sunk him.
Sunk who?
Nixon. If you watched it on
yeah.
TV, people liked it. If you were listening to it on the radio, people liked Nixon. But if you watched it on TV, it was Kennedy all the way.
Yeah,
right?
because he was sweaty and Kennedy was good looking.
Yeah.
Right.
The debate sunk him. Okay. I did not like when the moment happened where I said there, I went, oh shit, there we go. That feeds into the narrative, and the narrative took off.
Well, that was it. Was listen,
but that should have gotten a way bigger swing than it got. There was a little tiny thing, but it should have gotten a way bigger swing. And then the assassination attempt right after that, and then you're looking at all the polls and everything after that, and it's like 3, 4, 5 days, and it didn't move. It didn't budge. Everybody said he's going to win, and now Biden does finally step aside. Yes, so the media got the. I consider that a bit of a media coup more than anything else, but. Like this media didn't want to cover two old guys in an election that nobody was interested in and had already made their minds. There's no ratings in that.
We disagree on that, and I think you already know that. Like a couple of months ago, when we were, I can't remember if it was your show or my show, but we were talking about Biden, and honestly, like I thought they would replace him at the convention. But if someone were to ask me back in like April or something, I would be like, he should probably just state he's not running. The cognitive decline between Trump and Biden, the reason why, and I know we have a difference of opinion on this, but whatever. One of the main things that I think is that Trump is a compulsive liar. Trump doesn't tell the truth. He's a sociopath. He's very unlearned. Like he's not very bright. He doesn't know how to tackle issues in depth in an honest manner. All those things are true. But dementia, I don't see that as part of his like bag of flaws. I think he's just naturally stupid and naturally dishonest. And I think I said this to you back then. America, whether we like it or not, listen, I would vote for Biden over Trump if I was living in America. So let's just get that out of the way. But
Biden at 65% is still better than Trump at 100, right?
Right. I think by and large, though, Americans would rather vote for narcissism over dementia. And I think that debate, it was really painful. It made me feel sorry for him, and it made me question the people around him. Like, he's been like that for a while. He really has. Like it's not like, you know what I mean? And when you're the leader of the most powerful country on the planet, you can't be like that. You just can't. They made the right choice in getting rid of him. I think they did it too late. I think they could have had like a good competition to see who the people in the Democratic Party wanted. I don't think Harris has announced a running mate yet, but I think Buttigieg is the front runner, isn't he?
I'm hearing talk a lot that he's one of the front runners, but I'm also, for me, from all the candidates that were there, I'd say if it's down to 3 right now, it's down to Kelly, Buttigieg, and Shapiro.
Yeah. Okay, I would say Buttigieg, Newsom, and the Michigan governor. What's her name?
Whitmer. Yeah, Gretchen Whitmer. Yeah,
an all-female ticket would be awesome. But I don't know if it would just be symbolically awesome or effectively awesome. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, right? A Buttigieg Harris ticket would also make a whole bunch of their heads explode too. But people, the thing with, I personally would pick Buttigieg, right? Because he's such an effective communicator. He does have a military background. He's gay, married with 2 kids, so that's going to make a lot of heads explode because he doesn't fit into any of the stereotypical boxes that Republicans like to paint of gay people, right? But they talk about
super smart too, though.
Yes, and he's not afraid to go on Fox, and he's one of the most effective communicators they've got, like this. But then
I felt really sorry for him. Sorry to cut you off. I felt really sorry for him on Friday. He appeared on Bill Maher.
Yeah,
and his job was to just basically say how amazing Joe Biden is and how amazing he's going to be as a second-term president. And in 48 hours, like 36 hours later, Biden was gone.
Yeah, but that's the job. Right, that's the job. He could know 48 hours before. The thing here is, now that the media narrative is no longer two old men, because both of them who are in cognitive decline, both of them who are old, but for some reason we're only talking about one being old in cognitive decline. So, and this is the reason why I think it's a bit of a media coup, in the sense that, well, first of all, CNN published something a couple of days after Biden pulled out, saying that, like, oh my God, our ratings were terrible, but since the bad debate and since the thing, our ratings are just below what they were last time. So it took those two things to bring the ratings back. So that's how low the ratings were before. They're sitting there like this. Well, we need somebody new to cover. Of the two, well, which party is more likely to put the knife in the back of their leader? The Republicans on Trump or the Democrats on Biden? The Democrats on Biden.
Sorry, I don't know how that happened. Go ahead.
So they just pump the Biden is so old narrative again and again and again and again, and then just take every little flub whatnot and put it in. And yes, he is in cognitive decline, so clearly that does help. Because until the thing gets so bad that they made him go away, now they've got a younger, fresher model to cover. And all the work that they prepared about the old man on decline, well, they can still use it. They just got to redirect it to the other guy. So it's like the laziest form of journalism to say, hey, wait a minute. Now we get we get the narrative of the first female president again, black female president. We get a younger, fresher model, and we don't have to do any more work on the old man stuff. We just get to put it on Trump.
Yeah, but do you know? I honestly believe that. Like the black community, I think she could win. The black communities in the United States, I think, are going to show up for Trump even more than they did in 2020, which was actually surprisingly higher than it had been in previous years.
Not now, I think.
No, I think now, especially because when Kamala Harris was Attorney General of California, she supported the 3 strikes law. So many black inmates are there for decades because of like shitty little drug possession charges as their 3rd strike. There was a lot to complain about in regards to Harris as the AG of California. And I think that's going to hammer that away over and over and over again,
and again, I would say under any normal circumstance, if the opposite candidate wasn't an outright racist,
you might have a point. Do you remember the, but there's an SNL skit that was actually like, but there was an SNL skit in 2016 that was actually really, really kind of poignant. And I think it was Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock. They were sitting at like a liberal, like I'm with her kind of party. And one, I'm paraphrasing, but one of the guests was like, I just can't believe that we have a president who's racist. And Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock just look at each other and start laughing their ass off. And I saw a Dave Chappelle interview after that, and they've all been racist. The interviewer asked him about that skit, and he was just like, listen, it was like, there's sure you can make a case that Trump says a bunch of racist shit, but like we believe that basically every president has been racist, and maybe we feel kind of refreshed that someone is just wearing it on their sleeve rather than pretending they're not. And to be honest, a lot of people get surprised that people would rather, that some black people would rather vote for the racist who wears it on his sleeve than the ones who pretend they're not, but everyone thinks they are.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that,
that's a bit of an American thing. If you got something to say, you come and say it to my face. Whereas Canadians like this, no, we were raised right. We'll wait till you go away and we'll talk behind your back. We were raised right.
Just want to say to Positive Mike, Trump got shot. He got shot. He said that Trump didn't get shot, but Trump got shot. But there's a lot of
shot at. I don't know if anybody connected.
Well, his ear got hit, and there's a picture when his head is like this or whatever. And there's one picture that like it's a still frame from the main camera that shows the bullet going past him. Like, what did it nicked him, right? You don't think it did? Oh, let's get to the conspiracies then. Like,
no, not the conspiracy. No, not a conspiracy. It's there. A president has been shot at, and there is no medical record that is public yet.
So what are the alternative ideas?
We have more medical information issued by the actual attending physician from the time that Joe Biden just had COVID than we still have from an assassination attempt. You'd
But what
think
was
there
the
would be
blood from?
something. Hold on.
Was it
You'd
a
think it'd be
wrestling thing?
something.
Like,
Hold on. You'd think it would be something. And then
yeah.
number two, I can't imagine, knowing what I know of Trump, I can't imagine a reality that if there really was something major like this, that he wouldn't be waving it around, holding it like an upside down Bible. Well, see, look, the doctor's report. The only thing they got is something from Dr. Ronnie Jackson. They finally did put something out because there was pressure, but Ronnie Jackson, the Candyman, really, who doesn't even have a license and is not, he's the former physician of the former president. They're both former for a reason. So, it just seems to me like the normal transparency thing is like, somebody goes into the hospital and it's like, oh, there's like, and you get the report from the attending physician. The only thing that I have seen is like a 22-second clip from CBS News with Norah O'Donnell at night that had a bit of an interview with the attending physician. And the only thing he says is that Trump didn't need stitches. I don't know anything about ballistics, so that's the only medical information that we have, is that he didn't need stitches. We don't know how big the gap is. We don't know how much we don't know nothing. The treatment, we don't know if he was in shock. We know nothing.
Okay. We know that we heard the gunshot, we saw him grab his ear, and we saw blood. A lot of people don't realize that the power of a bullet, the power of a bullet is mostly in the speed it's going. And the air that it makes expand rapidly.
Right.
So he might have not have been hit by the bullet, but it could have gone within like a quarter inch and still made him bleed because of how fast and how powerfully it pierces the air. Right.
Yeah. But he doesn't have.
I mean, what's the difference though? Like, I mean, a bullet caused the injury. Because if you say that you haven't heard from an attending physician or a physician that talks about the bullet, but talks about his wound, you still know that it was a bullet that caused the bleeding. Otherwise, you would have to come up with some sort of elaborate theory as to what it was.
But the bullet is at the source if there was bleeding. But the thing is that the Trump camp took this and it's like he literally took a bullet for America.
Oh, I mean, they're gonna milk it.
But that's the reason why I'm saying that's the reason why there's no public report, because even if it was like the wind where he got a little gash from the cut, then he didn't actually take a bullet for America, right? The guy took the bullet for America.
I think you have the right to say that you were shot. I don't know. Like,
I'm a little pedantic. So shot at, yes. If the bullet didn't make contact, you were not shot.
Right. All I know for sure is that it wasn't God that saved him. That's the only thing I know.
Hell no. God's a woman.
If anything, maybe God was trying to pull the bullet a little closer. Fuck, he turned his head.
see, that thought never occurred to me. Or some people say, "Oh shit, he shouldn't have missed," or "Oh shit, he shouldn't turn his head." No,
it didn't
actually. Like, holy shit, did that happen? No, you don't do that. Fuck, don't do that. Do not fucking create a martyr. That's the last thing we fucking need. Is a martyr? No. It's like, no, don't do that. It's like, I want the guy to stay alive to hopefully face a prosecutor of some kind and spend some time in jail.
Well, that's not why
I want him to rot.
I want him to stay alive so that America doesn't burn. That's really what I'm thinking.
Well, that's too, but I mean, for him personally, I don't, this guy always gets the easy way out. Somebody shoots him, that's the easy way out. I want him to be somewhere quiet with no cameras because he doesn't like attention, because he loves attention, but he doesn't get any attention, and he has just his thoughts for a while, and he actually has to think about what he's fucking done. And I want him to go down. I want him to be able to witness himself going down in history.
Yeah.
As the worst.
We're only going for
see it happen.
We're only going for an hour tonight because I have my kids here, but I want to I want to pivot, if I may, to the debacle of a trip to the RNC. So I'm going to just show some pictures.
Can I ask you one question about the RNC?
Yeah. Well,
James,
first of all,
did you make Grindr crash?
Did I make what?
Did you make Grindr crash?
No.
Did you do something?
I had a lot of stock puppet accounts that were really disappointed, though. No, just kidding. The keyword is sock. Okay. So here, this is all day one. Now, there's something called the hard perimeter. This is not a grinder joke, and a soft perimeter. And so what happened was Trump gets shot. Okay, I know. Trump gets shot. I'm just scrolling through the pictures. Most people are Spotify and Apple people, so they're not seeing anything. This is hilarious. American women want strong leadership. Girl sports for girls only. Stop anti-Semitism. Choose life. Your mom did. America first. Stand with Israel. That's their feminist bus doing all that. It's pink, so it's feminist, right?
Right.
So here's the thing. I get there. I didn't know this when I got there, that the security situation there, because of Trump getting shot, all changed. So international media that was considered to be small media, so not the CBC, CTV, I don't know if Global had anyone there. I have no idea. But blackball media, not getting special treatment. So I was relegated. My pass was null and void. So I was relegated to the soft perimeter, which if any ex-girlfriend knows me, that is not an apt description of me whatsoever. I'm a hard perimeter guy. I'm just saying. Unless I'm on cocaine, then it just all goes away. But yeah. Brought to you by yeah. It's a Pfizer.
Soft perimeter is my new porn name.
No, it isn't. That's not the worst porn name ever. Like, I'm not going to get any fucking contracts with that. But anyways,
nobody wants to see this do porn.
Yeah. So I was relegated to not be inside the Pfizer arena where I was supposed to be, to broadcast, to do everything. All these pictures, as you can see, are all on the outside.
Right.
I got tossed from the hard perimeter. Like, yeah, no, tossed. I get it.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, I'm not going to be
juvenile. I had a salad, you know. Anyways, so I got tossed from the hard perimeter twice, and I was warned. This is Secret Service, and they warn you basically, like, you know, you like, listen, I know that you have a pass. You're international media. You are not put on the list of people that could still come in, and you have to get out of here. So I tried to take a boat because I don't know if you know Milwaukee, but there's all these like riverways.
Right.
So I found a guy and I'm like, listen, does any of these riverways go into the hard perimeter? And he's like, yeah. And like, well, it's risky. So I gave him $100 and I was just like, let's do it. So we went from like right around where the Milwaukee Farmers Market is, near Water Street. And we're going towards the Pfizer Center on this like little riverboat. And all of a sudden he's like, dude, look over there. There's like about 50, 75 yards away. He's like, that's a cop boat. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Right. And I quickly told him, I'm like, I've been caught trying to get into the hard perimeter twice, but I'm pressed. Like, what do I do? He's like, I don't know, man. They like they've been confiscating shit. So I quickly took the SIM card out of my cell phone and I put it in my sock. And sure enough, they took my fucking laptop and my phone and they just confiscated it. And this is like the day after I got there. So it's like the 15th. It's like the Tuesday or something. So that was it for me. And then I go back to my hotel, and my hotel's like, yeah, we heard that you've been breaching security. So if you want to stay here, you have to pay another $800. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not going to do that. So I stayed in an Airbnb. Then I stayed in another hotel. And then I stayed in a third hotel because my buddy was throwing an event that took place. That was like a post-event thing after. But I still couldn't get into that event because it was in the hard perimeter. And I was afraid that if I went back in there, they'd already have my name and I'd end up in fucking Guantanamo or something. So it was a complete fucking waste of time.
No.
It's a complete waste of time. So much so, I don't think I'm going to go to the DNC one. I was supposed to go, but I don't think I'm going to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know it's going to be historic and all that, but really it's just going to be a coronation for Kamala Harris. And like, I would love to be.
Yeah, but this is going to be a whole lot more. It's going to be a totally different vibe than it would have been otherwise when you were going to go.
I would love to go.
There's more of a story now than if you were going to go then.
I would love to go. But I don't trust the way that security will handle a small time media guy like me. I just have a feeling like that it's not gonna work out well for me. Like this was a unique situation.
Yeah. I have a feeling that for this one they might though, because given that they've got a shortened runway, they need all the media they can get.
I don't think there's gonna be any fucking shortage of media in Chicago during the DNC convention.
No, not shortage, just overall. They need all the media they can get.
Well, in any event, Is it? I'm 50-50, but probably more like 40-60. I'm leaning towards not going,
Okay,
but we'll see. Like, first of
understandable.
all, it's gonna be expensive. Second of all, um, I don't know what I can like. I technically have a pass to the convention, but now I'm not. Now I have to make sure that I do. Like, what if they pull the same shit that the RNC did and just like,
Mm,
security's too tight? Unless you're CBC or CTV, if you're from Canada, you're not coming in. Like that, they could totally do that, and I would be stuck again. Like, dude, I like Milwaukee. It's a great city, but for 4 days of not doing your job and not
right,
having your phone or computer,
right.
like I didn't plan on unplugging. If you go to my Twitter, you'll see it's just blacked out between like I think it's like the 15th and the 20th or something, or the 21st maybe it was, and I'm just like, like I didn't have anything. I didn't. I even looked for an internet cafe, and I'm like, do they even exist anymore? Like I don't even know if they
Mm.
exist.
No, I
So
don't think so.
yeah.
So, were you able to get them back at all, or are they just confiscated
Oh
for
no,
good?
I got him back. I got him back.
Okay.
That's yeah. Those pictures that you saw were from my phone. They were taken on like the 19th or whatever. So yeah. No, the
Dang.
14th or 15th, one of the two.
Well, kudos to the dedication to try to get in.
I
Jeez.
listen. If you asked me a month ago what was like the greatest thing that that you can think of for this year, I'd be like, I'm going to both conventions, and I thought the DNC one would be totally historic. Um, Both of them are probably historic because of the assassination attempt. Uh, the Republicans are so stupid. Like Hulk Hogan, really tearing off
Really?
his shirt, like they could have made that. Listen, if you're going to milk an event because of an assassination attempt, Hulk Hogan's not the way to go.
Yeah. But they're
He's just not.
performing for an audience of one. Remember, like when Hulk Hogan was doing that, Trump was back in the 80s, like at the time of the Goonies and whatnot, like this, back at the W at Madison Square Garden. He was like smiling.
They
He was
might
in
as
his
well
happy
had
place.
Sloth
Yes.
saying,
But he
"Hey,
was
you guys!" Like they might
but
as well have done that.
yeah.
Like
But Trump
yeah,
was in his happy place. They had the little the screen within the screen on the box there, like this, and he was like, "Yay!" He was like 13 again. He was just happy.
it was so dumb. Like
I
like like
know.
it, and they took the wind out of their own sail. I think
Yep.
when it came to that. So like I mean,
Yep.
listen, the Democrats, if they got shot at, they would have done it right.
Oh yeah.
They would have gone for the visceral, emotional, somber. Let's take a pause out of our partisan rabidness or whatever the fuck. Like they would have been able
Like
to like try to reach across the aisle and say maybe we can take this moment to come together. And you might not have bought it. It might have came off schmaltzy, but I think schmaltzy is better than cheesy. Like when it comes to
mhm.
that kind of thing. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. And
Um.
the Republicans is that they worked so hard. Like you could tell with like some of this, like the Hulk Hogan's world, but you could tell at certain parts, like they had worked so hard to try to create as much as possible as that vibe, and then he just came in and said, "Nope, we're not doing that."
Well,
It's just,
like I said, the first half hour wasn't bad. Like
yeah,
for Trump, it wasn't bad, except for the whole "I'm only here because of the grace of God." It's like you're only there
yeah,
because some guy didn't have a very. He shot 8
you're
bullets.
there. I said you're
He,
there
sh-
because of monoclonal antibodies. You should have been
he
taken out
shot.
first.
The guy shot 8 bullets. They found 8 shell
Right.
casings on that roof,
Yep.
and one nicked your ear. A fat president from 150 yards, and you couldn't hit him. Come on, I could hit him.
I was reading an interview not an interview, an article in BBC a few days after they went to they interviewed kids from his class graduating class in high school. Apparently, he had tried out for his high school's varsity team, and he didn't make it because he was a terrible shot.
I got to tell you, like the stuff that's coming out that like you don't know what to believe. You don't know like the water tower shooter thing.
Yeah,
You hear like um the Secret Service dropping the ball on everything.
yeah,
The lone gunman, like, and then 2 days later, whatever it is, new 9/11 footage just magically appears. Like, I'm sorry, but like, are we living in a simulation? Is that what this is? Because this is crazy. Like everything is insane right now.
oh yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if someone took a shot at him again before the election.
I would not be either.
Honestly, like it's almost like there's an undercurrent in America that fucking wants a civil war. I think, you know,
There is.
and I don't think that anyone should give it to them, because I think that if that happens, I think we're fucked.
Yes, we are.
You imagine how you imagine how how invigorated and aggressive the Canadian MAGA people would be if if they watch the United States go into civil war, and they watch libertarians and free men and staunch hardcore conservatives start pulling their weapons against liberals and progressives. Like,
Mhm.
they're gonna feel emboldened up here, just like
Oh
they
yeah.
did. I just went during the Trump presidency. Like that.
Right.
That's and you know what's not to be outdone. The ragtag Antifas of the world are probably going to love that too. And we don't need the fringes starting to
Nope.
like shoot and be violent with each other. Because
Right.
honestly, if I saw Antifa fighting MAGA in my country and I had an AR-15, I would just spray both sides until I was out of bullets. Like, I'm not kidding. I wouldn't take a side in that. I'd be like, you guys can kill each other, and if you need help, I'll fucking be there. Like, I'm not saying that literally. I'm just hypothesizing it.
Yeah.
If there was a civil war in this country between those two groups, I'm not picking a side.
Nope. It's like too much is just as bad as not enough.
Yeah.
It's like if you're way too extreme is extreme right or extreme left, I can't follow you, man. I just can't.
And when people talk about false equivalencies, I don't even understand what that means. Like, if someone's like really bad and someone else is 6% more bad, it's not a zero-sum game. I don't have to pick a side. I'm not equivalent. And so if MAGA's armed to the teeth and Antifa isn't, and people are like, that's a false equivalency, I'm just like, I don't care. I'm not equivalizing them. I'm saying I don't want to take either side. I don't care if one is a little bit worse than the other. I don't give a shit. I don't want to take either side.
Yeah, it's trying to get people to understand that there's the pole here and there's the pole here, and there's very few people that are at the extreme poles. Everybody's like at somewhere in the middle. But before you get to the poles, each one of us has a limit on this side and a limit on this side that we're not willing to go past.
That's right.
Some people are. It's like, and I'm just saying, within this sandbox, and the sandbox is big, right? If you're a green, I have no problem. I can talk to you. If you're liberal, I can talk to you. If you're a New Democrat, I can talk to you. If you're a Bloc Québécois, I can talk to you. If you're a progressive conservative, I can talk to you. If you start to, but there are certain people that, even if I want to have a sit down and have a conversation, there's an expression in French, t'es pas parlable. There's just no discussion to be had with you.
Yeah, that's exactly
that's right. Reasonable or rational. There's just none. It's not because I don't want one. There just is. You're not here for that.
That's right.
I can't sign on. Whether you're coming from the right, the left, the north, the south, above, around, I can't. It doesn't matter what your political. If a discussion cannot be had, even if it's a discussion where we end up and saying, well, thanks for sharing your position, thanks for yours, I can see how you see it that way, I see how you see it that way, but I don't agree, like this. But if you can't even have that, if that is not possible, I can't sign on to what you're selling. I just can't. It doesn't matter what your ideology is. I just can't.
Yeah, I know. Oh, you're a sensible one. And as I told you before the show, I'm a hard out because my kids are here. So this is a quick casual Friday. It's been a while, but a 4-hour marathon just wasn't cutting it tonight. But I'm glad that you were able to join. I'm glad I was able to get all that shit off my chest. And I'm gonna update people. I'm gonna talk to my lawyer and just literally ask her, what can I do? What can I share? What can't I share? Because the audio files, and you know what's so funny? I have to play a role when I'm in my house because I always feel like someone's hearing me. Right now that I know that the gaslighting is real. And so it becomes this thing where it's like I'll walk in my house and I'll monologue a whole bunch of bullshit. Right. And they know I bluff. I'm sure they do. But now it's like, I don't bluff 100% of the time. I bluff 90% of the time. But do they know the 10% that I'm bluffing? Right.
Just come in quoting Shakespeare. Walk through the door. The quality of mercy.
That's I walk through the door and I'm like, "What's up, fuckos?" Like literally, I'm just like that. Good morning, fucks. Like that's what I do now, right?
Good morning, assholes.
How's your child abuse going today? Are you going to abuse my children by trying to destabilize their daddy today? Cool. That's awesome. Well done. And now I can say it with conviction because I am 100% vindicated that it is happening. Now, the careful thing that I have to do now is just be like, I have to be ambiguous in how I describe it. I can't mention this person's name because they can just like, make all these excuses and everything. But the people like my sister, there's a couple of people that I had, and dude, just to send files, I can't send it from my phone or my computer. I have to like, download it on another person's computer, and they have to send it and then maybe forward it to somebody else who then forwards it to my sister. Like there's all these stupid fucking things that I have to go through in order to securely send stuff. And my sister's like, oh yeah, it's clearly that person. Like it's not even close. Like, yeah. So the people there's two people, my sister and somebody else that knows this person. That is one half of this two-way conversation that of the noise pollution that's being put into my house, and is like, well, that is clearly this person. Like it's obvious. And so, now and then I have to rely on metadata. We had to video record ourselves recording it off the transistor radio, just so the metadata on the video would be accurate with when and where we said it was. It was just like the fucking hoops we have to jump through is insane.
Yeah.
And they probably think that what I just said is bluffing. And that's great. I'll send it to you, Douglas.
Okay.
Yeah. But on that note, thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it.
I missed you, so it was nice.
Yeah, I miss you guys too. I'm so, I've been gone for a while. Listen, when you're dealing with a psychopath, an abusive, horrible person, and you're trying to like literally just calm your life down and take care of your kids and protect your kids, podcasting is not the first thing that I think about. So, but now I think I'm going to get back on the horse. I may not do one until next Friday again. I'm just not sure,
Yeah, I think you get to a point where I remember at one point I was in a situation that wasn't great, and it was sort of like, listen, I don't want you any ill. I just want my energy untied from yours. Can we just do that?
You're talking about my situation?
Well, it's the closest thing I've had to a situation like that. That was my thing. It's like, it's like, I don't want a war. I just want my energy untied from yours as quickly as possible. Can we do that?
I've been pleading with these people for months and months and months and months. If you just stop, life will be better for everybody, especially our kids.
Right.
If you just stop. But
there's nothing to be gained from any of this.
I think this person thinks that they have something to gain. And I don't know. It must be this. This is honestly what I think. I think this person has an abstract idea that if I'm no longer in my kid's life, that'll be a positive for my kids, which I completely fucking think is absurd and insane. My kids and I love each other to death.
You're a great
and I'm
dad.
a good dad. I feel like I'm a good dad. I feel like last year I had a lot of self-destructive tendencies that I experienced when my kids were not in my care.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's an important distinction, because then when they're in my care and another person is trying to destabilize me while I'm caring for my children is just an insane proposition to me.
Yeah.
Like you're not putting children first when you do that. You're literally using them as human shield.
Right.
So anyways, maybe we'll have a chance to talk about that at a later time. But Douglas Connors from the Eager Beaver podcast, thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining and listening in.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, I don't have much else to say. I think this week I'll try to do a couple interviews. I'm going to see if I can finally do a solo podcast. Been listening to a lot of Bill Burr lately. He's a lot funnier than I am, but just to do a half-hour podcast when I don't have a guest might be an idea, but maybe I'm just thinking out loud. But either way, until then, we'll see you next time on Black Bolt. Thanks, everybody. Black Bolt. Black Bolt. Black